You don't think religious trauma is real? Do you want to know what my biggest fear was from the age of 8 to 2 years ago? Anybody finding out that I was queer. That was my biggest fear. But do you know why that was my biggest fear? Because the first time I heard where gay people go was before I could even walk. And that, above anything else, was my biggest fear. So I spent the entirety of my childhood, as soon as I figured out, oh, this is who I am, telling myself that if I could con every single person in my church into thinking that I was one of them, that maybe one day eventually, when I passed away, God would see that I had done such a good job conning everybody into thinking I was straight that he would let me through. Because my biggest fear was the fact that God would be able to tell that secretly I disagreed with him, because there was nothing technically sinful about being gay. But it was a sin to be on their side and to agree with them. And I agreed with them, but I didn't want to agree with them because that was a sin. So then I had to try to con God into thinking that I was on his side, which then turned into me praying 24/7 to try and get God to hear me and know that I wanted to go into heaven, because I was convinced that there was literally nothing I could do to keep myself from going to hell, because anything you think, say, or do could be a sin. And so then I would have intrusive thoughts going into my brain about really terrible things that were sinful. And then I would beg God to make me stop thinking about these things, which would just make these intrusive thoughts come even more. So then I started thinking, maybe there are other things I can do to ensure that I will go to heaven. I read Revelation a lot, so the end times are definitely coming and they might happen at any time. So maybe if I just say the end times will happen today, every 4 seconds, then they won't happen because they are coming when we don't expect them. So then I would spend all day praying, saying that the end times were happening, praying, saying that the end times were happening, praying. So why was anybody surprised that the first time somebody prayed in front of me after I left the church, I had to go into another room, hide in a cupboard, and sob? Why is anybody surprised about this? It's not church hurt. It is trauma.